the vast majority of the volumes that were being sold in the real estate market historically went to the off-plan development space. And that product as an investment product makes no sense. Dubai is looking to grow still. It's going to always be fueled by real estate. Downtown Dubai, because it's a very prestigious square kilometer, it continues to be a good storehold of value in terms of where the pricing is today. The change that I would highlight for the younger generation that is coming about in the region is to think, how can I be different? Be yourself in a way that, kind of hones in on your skills. I think it's, you shouldn't live any other way.
Welcome back to another episode of the Change Officer podcast. Investing in real estate is usually a good idea, and with the help of our guests at Stake, now it's even better and also easier. Manar Mahmassani founded Stake with his high school friend, incorporating knowledge and experience of investment and real estate market into the business model that will make possible for anyone with 2,000 dirhams on his account to become a successful real estate investor. Stay with us, because in the next 40 minutes we will pick his brain about investment opportunities, real estate market, technology that is changing the game, and how does it feel to be your own boss after 13 years in financial giants like Deutsche Bank and Falcon Group. Enjoy, everyone. Welcome to the Change Officer, Manar.
Thanks for having me.
Man, it's awesome to have you here. I love speaking to entrepreneurs, and I love this opportunity to talk to you, man. I'm really excited about this.
Glad to be here. Love the show.
So, you've been all around news lately with a good reason. You're building something awesome. You went through a couple of rounds of raising, and you're growing your team now. You've been all over my LinkedIn, honestly, which is a good thing when you're growing your own startup. Tell me more about the opportunity that you noticed, and how did you decide to go for it, really? And then we'll talk more about Stake and what Stake really is.
Sure. Well, look, I come from an investment banking background, so it's a pretty hard knock type of environment, pretty aggressive, and it's all about money making. And 10 years of doing that, I started realizing a bit what I was doing was becoming less of a school for me, because you're surrounded by very smart people all along.
You can learn a lot.
It's a fantastic experience to be around such people, and during the times when investment banking actually attracted the best talent. I actually missed the run until 2005, but then from 2007 onwards to 2016, I was at Deutsche Bank. I was with some of the smartest structuring investment banking professionals.
That was here in the region, right? In Dubai?
Between here and London, yeah. But then it became monotonous, and I was always on the lookout in my professional career for something that I can do on my own, that is meaningful, that's impactful, that's not just about making P&L for the bank. Or then, I decided then actually to do something quite different than the usual, shifting from an large organization and investment banking career to a smaller boutique outfit, an entrepreneurial place called Falcon Group. And then there, it was always going to be getting exposed to the founder and the chairman and to his own entrepreneurial journey, because he's built something fantastic, a business that's super profitable, that has found its niche. So that was like a stepping stone for me. And I was always looking for, what it is that I can do to put my skill set to work, that can really tackle a big problem, a problem that's, quite, relevant, big, painful, and always looking for something of the sort. I kept an eye out, and I didn't have to look too far actually, in the end, because, living in Dubai, we all know how big of a pillar real estate is, for the economy here. And, a very close friend of mine, Rami, my co-founder, known him for 20 years. He moved to Dubai also at the same time as me, and his career has been similarly, as opposed to finance and investment banking, his career was in real estate, specifically sales, for some of the largest developers in town. And I was always fascinated. I think, first of all, seeing the city flourish from like scratch. Like when I moved here in 2006, there was maybe 30 or 40% of what it is looking like today. And flourishing with its skyline, with its beautiful like beaches and communities and so on from the sand. It was amazing to see that, but like also quite taken aback by the structural flaws of the market here. In terms of a real estate market, the asset class, and what Rami used to do day in, day out, selling a lot of real estate for investment purposes in a really in a way that doesn't make too much sense, really, because
what didn't really make sense.
So the vast majority of the volumes that were being sold in the real estate market historically went to the off-plan development space, and that product as an investment product makes no sense because you have to wait 3 to 4 years to collect keys, which as an investor, you also shouldn't really like look for keys at the end of the day. It comes with a lot of headache. But you make no return until then. And you take the developer's risk, the construction risk during the time period. Sure, it has the allure that developers take advantage of a product that's affordable because, hey, for a unit of 1 million dirhams, you're putting down 100 or 150K up front. And it seems like a good deal. You're getting the inherent kind of leverage. What pans out is that you get a call every 3 to 4 months and telling you, cough up more money for your installments. And yeah, so you take that cash flow risk, you concentrate your capital in one unit, and you don't make returns until 3 to 4 years later. So it was like a no-brainer. Why are these people going after this product? And that's because, the developers have the most amount of money to spend to target you as an investor who wants to be parking money in Dubai real estate, believes in the future of real estate in Dubai, and so on. So it became like a really it made a lot of sense for me and Rami to kind of team up and say, what if we could offer these same retail investors the chance to own high quality assets that are performing from day one, okay, that they can buy more easily, more efficiently, more transparently, because also, to be fair, I'll tell you, when I moved to Dubai as well, I invested in a property myself. I got my fingers burnt, not knowing what the market was like. So transparency is a big thing, because if I had known what the market was like, if it was in a bubble in 2006 or 7, it was quite inflated pricing. I would have known better. I would have taken a more informed decision. So getting the transparency out is important. And then, offering that product for the existing retail investor to get in on and start to make money like from day one made a lot of sense. And what if you could even offer that to the everyday person that can't afford to buy real estate, but always wanted to? Like there's this affinity in the region where, generally speaking, people are always motivated to own a home. That's like one of the goals that you have, a milestone that you have in your life. So if you could make that possible by breaking down the affordability barrier, that's another hugely valuable proposition to bring to the market. And you don't have to look too far. You just look at the readily available finished stock of properties in Dubai, which are already leased, and if you buy them, especially in today's market at great pricing, you stand to make a great gain.
Wow. So you built a platform that works how?
So the platform works as a digital real estate investment platform that's tech-driven, and that lets anyone with any budget that they have,
like 2,000 dirhams.
Starting from 2,000 dirhams, invest in quality residential income generating properties, starting in Dubai. It's all done online. You can invest in, we say, under 3 minutes, end to end, and from as little as 2,000 dirhams. So that's the name. That's where the name stake came about.
Mm-hmm.
You can buy a share of a property or a piece of it as opposed to a whole unit.
Mm-hmm. So on one side you had unit owners who are posting properties on the platform, right?
So,
or you are working directly with them.
So we go an extra step, not just to make a market, create a marketplace. In the beginning, at least for now, we feel strongly because we know the market quite well here. We can select assets that we can stand for their, their capital preservation. Firstly, not to make the same mistake as the developers do, making their investors lose money. We want to stand for quality and performance. And so we go through a selection mechanism or methodology, whereby we make all the available opportunities that come our way go through a screening criteria, and we filter down to the units that we feel have the best value.
Mm-hmm.
We pre-vet them. We curate those opportunities, and we negotiate the transactions with the sellers. And we present the finished product on the platform for anyone to invest in. And all the information that they would ever want to see before investing in a property is readily available on the platform. So you as a user, you come in, you sign up, you browse our properties, that are carefully selected that way.
Do you provide some projections as well on the return on a longer period? Correct.
We show an info memorandum, a financial projection sheet, a market study from a third party, and a valuation report from a third party as well.
Mm-hmm.
So all that information is readily available for you. You can also visit the unit 3D tour wise, as if you went and did a actual visit.
Mm.
So it's quite new in the way that typically you invest in real estate like the ancient way. It's quite cumbersome to own
mortgage
and get a mortgage and all those sort of things. Here you can invest in no time.
So say that there's 100 of us with minimal investment of 2,000 dirhams, basically, and we are purchasing a property worth 200,000 dirhams, somewhere in the Greens, some 2-bedroom apartment. So there will be basically 100 owners, or how do you regulate this admin stuff about the ownership, and how did you go around that?
So regulating is one side. Securing ownership is quite, first of all, straightforward conceptually. All we do is create a company in the DIFC where you own a share, you and the other 99 other investors. So
for every property, you create one company.
For every property, there's one special purpose vehicle. It's in the DIFC. It's international law. Your ownership rights are secure, and the property's title deed is owned by the company. So that's how the legal framework works. And I should have mentioned, we're regulated by the DFSA. This is a financial service. We have to operate a certain way, compliance-wise, what we can market, what we can do with your funds before they get invested, or when we collect funds on your behalf to distribute to you, because we're also managing the investment end to end over its full life cycle, from the acquisition to the ongoing rental to the ultimate exit of the property. So it's all turnkey in a way. So you sit back, you don't go to the DLD to register the property, you don't have to deal with brokers, you don't have to deal with tenants and property managers and maintenance and so on. So that's really that kind of ease and value is a huge component of our value prop.
What was the biggest problem or challenge that you had to overcome? You started 18 months ago building the whole model and the platform. Where did you spend most of your time trying to figure out how to go around it or how to solve it?
Every phase in our 18-month life, short but feels so long, has been about something, to be honest. it evolves. So in the beginning, it's about really just it was just me and Rami, bootstrapping the business from our own funds, trying to apply for the license with the regulator. It's not an easy kind of process. It's quite lengthy and frustrating to some extent, but in the end, we get there and we learn and we set up the business the way they kind of feel comfortable. So it's important to get the regulation right from the onset. I think the challenge we faced going to market was, as a brand new company, sure, we have our contacts and networks in the real estate space, but ultimately what we're doing is packaging a consumer product. And it's a high volume type of low margin business model. So you really need to attract a lot of traffic. Getting the awareness out is the most the most challenging part of the whole business in the beginning. Attracting the best, smartest people as well. I mean, we're quite lucky. We were able to land on our COO from our first hire. We call him the Swiss Army knife. He can do so many things for us, wearing the product hat, the operations hat, the tech hat. He's a fantastic guy. Getting the right group of people together is another, I think, hugely underestimated challenge that, when you're building a business from scratch, you only have your word or to serve for you, or the mission that you're going after, and aligning everybody, on the same common goal. That's in itself quite a tricky thing,
and especially when you need to do that rapidly, right? I mean, when you start growing, you first, let's say a year, for how long you've been building and bootstrapping and building the platform on your own, and then you raise some funds. When was the first significant round that you raised?
So our seed was the first significant round. Like, we did it in small chunks, but then we closed it off with our big strategic shareholders. Just earlier this month, we made the announcement. It was a long time coming, but we set up the business quite, the foundations for the business quite solidly for the future with, really strategic, long-term investors who are committed to our whole journey and our future fundraising rounds.
And we just discussed before we started the show how important it is to be wise when you're picking your strategic investors and shareholders in the early stage, because they're the one that can significantly influence the growth and the path that the company is taking, right?
100%. I mean, the value that the shareholders bring from not just capital, from their advice, their alignment with your vision, how they can support the business. I mean, for us, we have two real estate developers / institutional investment management, large companies in the US and the UK that have come into our capital structure that is going to be super strategic for us to onboard properties and grow geographically from Dubai to the US and the UK. Ultimately, that's our kind of strategy for growing the business, and having them on board from the beginning is super important to kind of lay the foundation and the groundwork to go there. At the moment, we're very kind of happy with the set of shareholders that we managed to attract. Some strategics, as I mentioned to you before, on the media and marketing side of things, that are going to be super, super useful. Already, we're getting tremendous advice from them. So I can't highlight enough how important it is to continue to triangulate with smart people that are not just in it for riding the wave with you, that want to contribute.
Out of all the investors that are on board, is any VC on board?
Yes, we have a VC in the UK called Verve Ventures, who has put a nice check.
How did you, when you were deciding to raise funds, there are different types of funds that you can raise. How did you decide to go for venture capital type of funds?
We went to market and saw, who believes in our business model, in our ability to execute. A lot of people told us it's too early. As much as we hear that there's a lot of early
here
stage,
regionally, I guess.
And it's a business model that exists in the US. It's quite successful. But every market has its own unique set of features, I think. And for us here, we feel that actually we could be a lot more successful relative to the overall real estate market, if you look at it this way, than in the US, for instance, because, you know, Dubai has its unique attributes in that it attracts so much capital from abroad, from non-residents, as a real estate investment destination. And when you're able to cater for that online quite easily, that alone makes a lot of sense. And what if you can, you know, on top of it, give them the best returns, you know, some of the best, the most attractive assets in town, and really try and deliver that best-in-class return profile to those guys. So to answer your question, we went out, we spoke to strategics, family offices, angel investors, VCs, and we ended up with a nice combination of all. Of all. And specifically, actually, I forgot to mention, you know, Saudi also is a big part of our roadmap. You know, we have two Saudi shareholders with us that, you know, feel strongly about our growth prospects within the region. There's a massive affinity for real estate in Saudi and for domestic products, so we can grow there as well.
Wow. I'm sure that a lot of people out there now listening to this conversation are curious to understand whether investment in real estate in UAE at the moment or in general is a secure investment on the long run. There is a lot of talk about it, that, you know, there is more and more communities, developments, people even left throughout pandemic. There are projections that Dubai will have 10 million residents, I don't know how many years down the road. There is a lot of investors who are purchasing properties in Dubai, but not a lot of people living in Dubai, actually, who are the fuel for the growth of the prices, right, and so on. Like, bring us closer to that.
Sure. Very valid question. It's always top of mind. Real estate, as I mentioned, core pillar of the economy here, and so many opinions always that are always cast on the market here. Look, it's a growing city, an emerging market, and when you have that kind of you know, it's physically growing, right? So there's a lot of supply that comes its way. So by definition, as a market, it's going to be more volatile. And it is compared to more stable markets like in the UK, in the US, Europe, you know, even in Asia, you know, Singapore and so on. The beauty of Dubai is, much as I wouldn't want to time any market, but here you have opportunities that come about from the cycle. And over the last 6 to 7 years in Dubai, the market's been flooded with supply and it's been downtrending.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw an opportunity, which was a major driver for launching this business now, around about Q4 2019, when we first got started with the license. And at that point, you know, we saw that, you know, prices started bottoming out. How do we know that it bottomed out? Because there's something called replacement cost, which is a leading indicator for real estate value. And replacement cost is essentially what it costs to buy the land and build a project from scratch. And when prices of the secondary market, you know, readily available finished properties, starts to become less than their replacement cost, you know, there's a dislocation in the market that's not going to be that's going to be short-lived. So that's the opportunity you see and you try and capitalize on.
So that's how you notice that you reached the bottom?
That you're close to. I mean, nobody can really eventually like time the market, but hey, guess what? COVID happened. It even made things more attractive. And we see that also. Why is it also something we can see is that the volumes have been increasing. Even in Q4 2019, people started realizing that it's good value. So the volume of transactions in Dubai started shooting up. And now at the moment, post-COVID, after seeing how, you know, Dubai handled the pandemic, you know, which was so impressive, And the amount of people who actually moved here. So Dubai became more on the map than ever before after COVID because of the way, how secure the way they handled it was. And then at the same time, us as a business focusing on prime residential properties, we feel like COVID showed us that there's always going to be a demand for it. People always need a place to live somewhere. Now, on top of it, there's work from home. The house, the home is more relevant than ever. And yeah, we're seeing now the pickup in the cycle quite evident in front of us because the amount of transactions have picked up significantly. The last quarter was 72%.
I read,
higher.
Q1 2021 was some sort of a record high or something like
$25 billion in the last the first 4 months of the year. And 6 consecutive months of growth in the price after all this downtrend over the last 6 to 7 years. We saw prices in April increase in the fastest rate. I think when you combine all these things, you can tell that the signs are there that there's a pickup in the cycle. Supply was scaled back during COVID. It's going to come back. Dubai is looking to grow still. It's going to always be fueled by real estate, but I think demand has picked up a lot and people see the value in prime residential property, which is the barometer of the market.
Yeah. Let's offer our viewers and listeners an exclusive tip. Can we do that?
Okay.
So what would be at the moment as an investment? What type of real estate in Dubai is the safest or the best investment that they can make? What part of town and what type of real estate?
It's a good question. Type of real estate, residential.
Okay.
Second, because again, commercial is under pressure and retail as well. Secondary market for sure. Don't buy anything. Means not off plan, not under construction. Unless you're an end user, you want the property to be given to you after 3 to 4 years. You're being sold a dream that how it's going to look. You got to be confident that they're going to deliver it. But for investment, you want to know that it's available, and what matters to you is generating 2 components from real estate of return: regular income from rental. Having the property always leased to a tenant and generating to you like a cash flow.
What's the safest size of the property and potentially part of the town currently in Dubai?
So and capital appreciation. I was going to say that's the second component. What you do is you look for that combination of things that is best. And I think at the moment you'll find that downtown Dubai, because it's a very prestigious square kilometer, and it's built by the best developer in town in terms of quality. It continues to be a good storehold of value in terms of where the pricing is today. And you can yield 4 to 5%. And that's quite attractive when you look at it from a risk return perspective, because your money in the bank is not making you much at the moment, right? You'd be lucky to get 0.1%. So making 4 to 5 in a safe and stable way in an area where there's going to be less vacancy risk if the tenant leaves. There's always a pent-up demand for living in downtown. That's a fantastic area to be exposed in. But the beauty is you don't have to pick one, right? With a platform like us, when you lower the barrier to entry to as low as 2,000 dirhams, with the same amount of money that you're looking to invest in property, rather than buying one apartment, and it's apartments, by the way, that have value because villas have shot up. There's a lot of end users that want the villa lifestyle in Dubai. And so those properties have gone up like 20 to 30% in the last 6 months, if not more, in certain areas. The apartments, that you can buy a share in, why don't you distribute to downtown, Dubai Marina, City Walk, Business Bay, all these areas that we try and focus on, that we know that there's going to be less risk for you to continue to make the yield that you're looking for, the passive income.
Mm-hmm.
And from a pricing standpoint, what I was about to say is that there's that pickup in the cycle that's coming underway. And there's even Morgan Stanley, HSBC saying that the rally is going to be, longer, that has longer runway. And, you want that tailwind on your side to get the capital appreciation on your investment.
So basically, instead of taking 2 million dirhams and investing in a property in downtown, say 2-bedroom apartment in downtown, we can use 2 million dirhams and diversify that portfolio by investing through the platform through stake in 10 different properties around town to get the average return of 4 to 5% safer way.
Exactly. That's excluding any appreciation in the value of the units that you bought a share in.
Awesome. Cool. Clear. No, I think it's definitely, a solid model. Obviously, it was already proved by all of the investments. There is a belief. You already have around 3,000 users or more.
5,000.
5,000 now already. In February, you said that you want to have a team of 12. Did you reach that stage?
Yeah, we crossed it actually.
Okay.
We're at 15 now, and we're looking to get to 20 now, using all that, the capital that we raised. Now we want to use a large part of it to beef up the tech capabilities in house.
Yeah, awesome. Well, good luck with that.
Thank you.
Let's switch gears now a bit. Let's talk more about Manar. Forget about stake. Forget about Dubai. Forget about business. Tell me more about young Manar. Very young Manar.
I was born in Saudi. My dad's an architect. Was working in Saudi. He moved us at a young age to France. I grew up in Paris. I lived with my mom.
How were you
as
a young boy? Were you curious, shy? Were you active, energized?
I was a combination of very active and careful about where I'm. Let's say troublesome.
Okay.
So no, I was reasonably, I think, well behaved as a young kid. My mom would say, up until I moved to Lebanon, which Lebanon is a culture shock from France, and I did my high school there and met all my best friends. And yeah, I think it's a school as well. It's an experience to live in a place that went through a war, that you get to see a lot more, I would say, characters that are stronger in the way they it's a very social place as well. So you need to also make your mark. You need to be very assertive and claim your mark, really. In France, I look at all my past friends. I mean, a lot of them did not end up, building something or having the right framework to build something, or motivation, I would say, being in an environment that motivates you to be pushing yourself.
No, that's
and that's what I see in terms of the culture difference between France and Lebanon.
No, that's so true. You have a very interesting mix. So born in Saudi, lived in Paris, moved to Lebanon, went to high school to Lebanon, then went to London School of Economics. All different types and styles of life. Which one of these you think influenced your character the most?
I think Lebanon, to be very frank with you. And obviously I had my mom was a big influence on me. She always drove me to build a company, build a career, build myself, push myself to my limits. I can't under highlight how much she had an impact on me. And so living in Lebanon, I think, tests you and makes you stronger, and that kind of built my character for wanting to take a big leap in my life, such as this one most recently, until I fostered the courage to do it.
It's so interesting because I always love to explore this topic of growing up, school, and the impact and the influence that have on one's life. And There is no guarantee that if you grow up in a perfect family, surrounded by love, go to perfect school, primary, high school, and university, that's not the guarantee that you will have a happy or fulfilled life. Sometimes the episodes that not necessarily look like a great episode at the time, growing up in Lebanon, it was tough, probably a lot of street life, a lot of probably conflicts and problems when you're a kid, maybe bullied. Some of these episodes actually shape you to become tougher, ready for what's coming and ready to fight when the time comes. But the problem is very few parents would put you intentionally into something like that, knowing that they're not willing to risk.
Yeah.
And then that's a safer path to go down this safe environment.
I agree. It's unintentional, but it was driven by actually my dad, because my mom didn't want to leave France. She didn't want to leave Saudi in the first place, so she gets attached to where she is. She doesn't like Lebanon still, but yeah, he's a patriot. He loves his country, and we learned to love it as well. But it doesn't have any much opportunities. So for us,
no, of course,
for us, we're glad to be living in Dubai.
Coming from Serbia, I know everything about it. So you mentioned in one of the previous podcasts that you did Ray Dalio's book Principles.
Yes.
And I ask this question almost every time, or a lot, based on the Ray Dalio's book Principles. Do you have any of your principles that you are following, that you are sticking to in life?
I'm trying, actually, funny enough. I like to draw learnings from all of my experiences, and so I try and self-reflect as much as possible. I have a note book that has some principles put down for scenarios I find myself in repetitively, so I have to. What I don't do enough is go back to them the way he says we should, to say, hey, this is one of those. So let's go back and read what was the game plan for dealing with this particular situation. They're quite they're quite personal in a way that dealing with challenging situations, interpersonal situations, dealing with my own weaknesses, finding out my own weaknesses, and trying to deal with them either by getting better at them or outsourcing them. I think those things I've built into my set of principles a lot, and wanting to get to the truth. I think that's a super the Ray Dalio's book taught me really to go after that concept a lot more,
radical truthfulness.
Yeah, be more obsessed about knowing what's true than being proven right.
That's a big one. Yeah. There's this global movement, how I F words up, or how I fucked up, excuse my French. And they have interesting nights here in Dubai. They're called fun nights. In the world, they're called fuck up nights, where instead of celebrating successes, which we're currently doing, we're celebrating your success with steak. Okay, people don't like to say I'm successful. On the way to become successful,
I was about to say
on the way to be to it's a big word.
Not even day one.
Yeah. So let's celebrate the failure. What's the favorite failure of yours?
My favorite failure would be time management. That's a big one for me. And I always bucket it as time management, but at the end of the day, I think it has to do with, prioritizing, budgeting and prioritizing my time effectively, building in downtime, because I work in my sleep, honestly, and it's not healthy. So I'm very conscious of it, and I try and do something about it. Of course, spending time with my wife more, being present. These sorts of things are areas where I can do better in, and I think that they're part of where my shortcomings are. As a founder as well, building the culture of the business is something I'm learning as well. Seeing it shape is phenomenal. It's so rewarding, because energies feed off each other. But bringing out the best in people is one thing I'm learning on the trial and error kind of thing. And state management, I think, is a big area where, I've had some failures and some successes, and I think at this point in time we're lucky to have a great group of guys and girls that are all rowing in the same direction quite nicely. But every once in a while, so often, I mean, with the blizzard of things that you have to deal with as a startup entrepreneur, there comes the we forgot, we neglected this, we neglected that, and there's so many of those that come about. So a large part of them is just like managing your own state and your own energy, and aligning everybody with with the same energy, I think.
Oh, energy is big. Like, energy is big, and I think it plays a very important part of the culture. If there is and pandemic is not helping us with the remote work, because remote works for until some point, but building energy, which is really important, it's a big challenge. My last question, and then we'll move on to a small game. As a change officer, if there was one thing that you could change, what would that be?
Just general, like
just general, whatever comes to your mind. It can be personal, it can be worldwide, it can be Middle East.
I think there's a number of things happening in the world right now that are changing very rapidly, and that those forces are at play. What I would try and do most for the region, looking at just where we're based, without going out too widely, is to install a bit more open-mindedness and forward-looking type mentality around a lot of the the population that we have here. Again, we have a lot of population in the region that's in the younger population, which is this is the opportunity in the region. I would influence them to not be typical, and I think that's one of the kind of things that life does to you, or the world pulls you to be normal. So you want to think about ways to create distinctiveness, and so the change that I would highlight for the younger generation that is coming about in the region is to think, how can I be different? How can I, keep alive what makes me special, as opposed to becoming normal? Because the mentality here is conforming to normalcies. And if you can be yourself in a way that kind of hones in on your skills, I think it's you shouldn't live any other way.
No, that's powerful. Yeah, that's powerful. I'm underlining that. Thanks, man. We're going to do a quick game now, and that will be a wrap up. So I have 3 questions for you. All right. First one is, if you were a city, any city in the world, which city would you be?
Can I be just one, or okay?
One.
I'll be Florence.
Florence?
Yeah.
Why Florence?
It's a beautiful city, so I think, generally speaking, in life you want more beauty, and it's a beautiful city, and I got married there to my wife. So.
Wow. Okay. Next question. If you were an animal, which animal would you be?
An elephant.
Elephant?
Yeah.
Why elephant?
My memory is not the best, so I would they say the elephant has a good memory, but he's old and timeless and strong, and those are good enough to and obviously
wise.
Super wise, exactly.
Awesome. And my last one: if you were a car brand, which car would you be?
Tesla.
Tesla.
I have a Tesla.
That's a good one.
I've lost the appeal of having a Ferrari has gone away.
Plus, you're faster with Tesla.
Yeah,
on a straight line
with Tesla, and I'm all about what that change is bringing to the world.
Awesome. Manar, thanks for coming, man. It was super fun.
Thank you, loved it.
Thanks, man. Guys, if you enjoyed, Please like and subscribe. I hope that Manar helped you get a better understanding what's ahead of us and maybe reconsider investing in the region. I'm definitely reconsidering. And now when I have steak, maybe I'm gonna try it out. Please leave any comments if you have in the comment section below. We're going to be happy to get back to you and reply. And stay tuned. There is another episode coming out next Monday. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.